Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shyzalosophy 101. Here's your host, Shyzabox. Oh, they call us? Oh, they must have. We hear our introduction. Now, girl. Girl. Careful. Oh, get out of here. Oh, careful. And the horse you rode in on. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome nuns and all. That's right. Priests, bishops, cardinals, rabbis, thespians, people of whoever want to call themselves whatever. Welcome ones, welcome all. We have got a show for you today. That's right, you might be saying, we wish you didn't. Damn it, Mom, keep those jokes to yourselves. You're going to drive off our ones of views. Point being, we have, of course, donned our second cup, and we thought to ourselves, how can we reach the ones of masses that don't want us to? How can we sit back and hang out with anyone who's having a second cup themselves and just wants to have some food for thought? That's right. So we thought upon ourselves, might as well just have a second cup, sit back and kick it. Because we pretty much covered everything that we had to say pertaining to stuff earlier. So now it's just pretty much good old-fashioned fun hangout session as we keep, venturing into the endeavors that we embark upon and things of that nature. Now, you might be saying to yourselves, you have no interest in it. But whilst you might not have a direct interest in it, it's laying foundational work for what's going to exist and or is already in essence existing on that of the wild, wild west of Web 3. You might be saying that's no place for, anyone who hangs out on the internet to, hang out at. Laugh all you want, internet. It's a dangerous place. They don't call it the wild, wild west of the internet for no reason. Well, again, internet, when you think of all the malicious, intent and stuff of individuals out there, it's hard to accept the fact that when you're looking at future technology like Web 3, all right, and what is going to be housed on it, who's going to run it, who's going to control it, how it's going to be disseminated, okay, you have now in existence, we've laid a foundation by making a LimeWire-inspired music player that works on Web3. It's available now on the IPFS. Okay? We've put video up. All right? It works. It's on the IPFS. We have working demos for, material cutoff audit tools. It works. Okay? It's on the IPFS. As all this stuff is coming to an existence, all right, because we have our own sovereign micro blockchain, okay, entities are going to begin to realize that it is very doable, okay, to be able to disseminate these technologies, these thoughts, these ideas, these, appenditures that are being created, some of which we've created with the community themselves. Themes to our LimeWire-inspired music player, Joey's Trash Bin at the bottom of the IPFS site. If you go there, it's now a functional working game based off of an idea one of the people in the chat had. Hello and hi. So, with that being the case, as the future foundation gets laid, as companies begin to realize, oh man, we can generate stuff day of, okay? We've made games day of with the community right here on the U of the Tube stream, okay? We've gotten games working and up and running. Joey's Meat Run is case in point. It's up and running on the site. You can go to the arcade area and such and go play the game that we made with the community, all right? Times are a-changing, and Bob Dylan was very correct in his, vernacular usage of the words thereof, okay? Times are indeed changing. These tools, these demos, these, things that you can see, okay? These actual artifacts that digitally and or physically, if you include stuff like our literary works and endeavors that we try and peddle, that we made 11 cents in, our readership, revenue last month. It's not funny, it's sad, internet. You don't gotta laugh at us. As we strive to increase that 11 cents and make it 12 cents this month by people reading our literary wares, it could happen. Maybe someone wants to buy one of our books. Hey, internet, now, calm it down. Jeez. I'd expect you to be not polite, though. That's right, internet, something that you would celebrate. The demise and destruction of others. It's because you are a wild bunch yourselves, internet. Again, something that you would celebrate inherently, you know. And then, you know, we segue, and when the minute we expect no less from you, internet, the minute that we ever mention, like, our failed Kickstarter. Exactly. You sons of bitches. Oh, failed Kickstarter guy. Here he is. It's not a joke. You guys are jerks. Oh, okay, internet. We know that. Can you say hi to me? It's Brianna. Well, Brianna, we can call you Brianna, right? No, of course we can. So, Bree, what we were talking about, Bree, is of course we can say hi to you. Hello and greetings. So, point being, say hi, you son of a bitch. Okay, Brianna, sorry. Yes. Hello and greetings extended to yourself. No, I said hi. Say specifically hi. Hello and hi. Excellent. Yes, something to celebrate, Brianna. That's worth a subscription in itself, and or a free trial at Amazon Kindle Unlimited. Download one of our books and just scroll through it really fast. 0.04 cents per page read. We are racking in the ones of cents in no time. Made 11 whole cents last month. We might even be able to afford to eat this month. It's not something to laugh at, internet. Can't live off 11 cents. How are we going to keep bringing you all these awesome LimeWire-inspired music, appenditures on Web3, right? Someone's going to have to buy our crap. Okay? Point being, hold on, management's calling. They think they know how to run the place. What do you want? We're on time. We're doing the show. Uh-huh. No, we haven't apologized yet. Well, we're going to. We didn't need your permission. Leave us alone. We're trying to do the stream. Management. They try and think they know how to run the place. I don't know what it's like where you work, but they think they know how to run the place. At least around these parts. But as they remind us, it is this point in the stream that we do like to take the time to apologize for our last stream. So, sorry about that. All right, excellent. So, now that we have completely remedied the past and everything like that by apologizing for it, right? Forget and forgive, right? Excellent. We have to keep in mind that this is all for philosophical entertainment purposes. Of course, any IPFS usages you need to do inherently at your own risk, because not only is it the wild, wild west, okay, of the internet, but it is a inherently potentially dangerous place, okay? Well, that's not something to celebrate, internet. You can't be too careful nowadays. So we like to, make mention that you need to be careful as possible, and only trust the most reputable of sources. Excellent. Now, we don't claim to be that source, internet, of course, but we do always say that, we're going to keep this show free. Okay? This will never be behind a paywall. Okay? Some of our books, our philosophical works, our literary endeavors, obviously, we got to try and get some scratch on the backside and the back end of it, right? Now, you laugh. Try all we need, try all we might. I didn't know the Lucky Charms character was real. Well, of course the Lucky Charms character is real. His name's Lucky, and they've printed him on the box since 1967, 7, I don't know, whenever it came out and became a cereal from General Mills, probably. I don't know. Is Lucky Charms from General Mills? Who knows? It might not be. In which case, they got knockoff versions. And believe you me, that Magic Treasures unicorn is real as well. Now, you might be saying, what, Magic Treasures unicorn? Well, who is that? Josh? We know that's you, Josh Williams, son. We can call you Josh, right? Nah, of course. So, J-Money. Point being is that, yeah, the Lucky Charms character is real. He's been the mascot of the box on the cereal for a long time. It's crazy how that works. Excellent. This guy sucks. What? Hey! Who's celebrating that? That wasn't nice. Yeah, it was funny, yes. We're not debating that. Point being is that now we don't even know where we sit with our cup of food for thought. You might be saying, you can't put food in a cup. You absolutely can. People eat cereal in cups all the time. You can have all sorts of food for thought in a cup. Cuppo ramen noodles. That shit comes in a cup straight off the shelf. Now, case in point. Can't argue with it, can you? No, of course not. But we want to. Who was that? Keep those comments to yourself. They're funnier than what we make. You're going to cost us one of subscripifications. Anyhow, as we sit back and we have our food for thought that we have proven can be food for thought in a cup, it doesn't have to necessarily be on a plate or in a dish or on a bowl, as you wish. You might be saying like, oh, you're rhyming a lot. Sure does sound like poetry. Well, not only does it sound like poetry, but guess that means you want to segue and have us read some poetry. That's right. You might be saying, no, please don't. No. Celebrate the other. We got to read poetry. It's going to make the stream better. That's right. You might be saying, what poetry are you going to read? Oh, well, fair question. Well, of course, so we don't get sued, we got to read from our own poetry book available on Amazon.com. Now, come on, Internet. We can't afford to get sued again. You laugh. We don't want to get sued. That's right. That's something to celebrate. That's why we can read our own book available on Amazon.com and or Kindle Unlimited. Should you like to get a copy there, if you have a free reader membership trial version and you download our book and decide to read it, we get 0.04 cents per page read. That's right. And believe you me, that equates to fractions of cents in no time. That's right. Something we celebrate. We're going to take that 11 cents we made last month, and believe you me, we're going to wish we had a lot more to add to it. It's not supposed to be a joke, Internet. Jeez. But needless to say, as we sit back now, we are going to go ahead and read a poem. Now you might be saying to yourselves, please don't. No. We have to, because we said we're going to, and obviously this is one of our favorites, okay? This is one that we've read a few times on stream. Oh, we know what you're thinking. Oh, not this one again? That's right. No, it's this one again. Okay, this is found in How Poetry Cometry, How Cometry Poetry. You can find this book on Amazon.com, on Kindle Unlimited. You can scroll through and check it out for yourself. But we're going to share this poem with you because it means so much to us, okay? As far as, one that we've encountered, one that we've written, okay? And one that we ascribe to be, a very, very reminiscent poem that just resonates with anyone who hears it, all right? That it just correlates to that past nostalgic feel, almost like our LimeWire-inspired music player does on the IPFS set. Okay, you go to the first audio file there on audio, all right, and you got that decentralized LimeWire-inspired nostalgic music listening, upload your own files, your MP3s, your M4As, it's all there. But as we sit back, we're going to read this poem straight out of the book, How Poetry Cometry, How Cometry Poetry, available on the Amazon.com's and the Kindle of the Unlimiteds, where you can scroll through and get a big 0.04 cents per page read to us. You laugh. That adds up. We're going to spend that 11 cents somewhere. It's messed up, Internet. But, point being, we digress. Let's read this poem now. Let's sit back, let's center, and let's go ahead. Let's continue on our food for thought, which is in the cup, okay? There's also another thing that we have to do, all right? And you know exactly what that is, Internet. You know exactly what that is, okay? You know exactly what we have to do. Before we read the poem and segue into poetry itself, you know what needs to be done. We need to cleanse the air. Well, you laugh. Laugh all you want, Internet. It needs to be done. Okay, now this is referenceable in almost any 90s sitcom. Okay, this is nostalgic from almost any kind of traditional diatribe that you could see that resonated with society from decades past. Before you do a poetry reading, you literally have to cleanse the air. So, we're going to do that now. One. Deep breaths. 2. It takes 3. Everyone knows this. 3. All right, there's cleansed. Excellent. We can read poetry now. See how that works? You need to cleanse the air before you read poetry. Everyone knows this. Air cleansed. Thus, we presume to continue. Found in How Poetry, Cometry, How Cometry, Poetry. Available on Amazon.com. Diceth of the Man. Andrew of the Dices. Dices of the Clay. Legendary delivery. In vulgarest of ways. Funniest of the banter. Wittiest of the joke. Yo mother. Excellent. All right. So, it's great to have these literary readings, okay, where we can sit back and really dive into the poetry that's offered, okay? You might be saying, like, what kind of food for thought crap is this? Damn it, Mom, you're going to chase away our ones of viewers. Keep those comments to yourself. Point being is that as we continue to dive into the readings, okay, and we continue to venture into that of what exists, we already talked on the stream earlier, okay, and for all ones of you that missed it, okay, we already talked on the stream earlier of a way to incorporate some additional literary reading-esque stuff, okay, into the IPFS site itself, all right? Now, we don't want just another traditional run-of-the-mill. We got a lot of placeholders, okay, for different academic papers and things of that nature, and we got one on there that we intentionally have on there, and we have others that we don't know what we want to do with yet, as of yet, anything along those lines, and there's some other stuff that we just don't feel privy of talking of and such as we sit now. That being the case in point, we do want to expand the IPFS site, and we do want to make it all the better. So sectioning off and adding a new, individual, area of literary fun, literary scope, and or maybe just expanding upon what we have on there now, a way to introduce another navigatable point of fun and fellowship and anything like that. So we welcome ideas and emails and things. Of course, being an independent researcher, a developer of one, any of that, we welcome anyone else's, thoughts and views, this, that, and the other. All right. We welcome, of course, auditing as well on our source code and everything along those lines. Right? It's all open source. Most of it all Apache 2.0. Don't worry about it. Point being is that as we venture to, take on these other endeavors and things of that nature, our food for thought is that sit back now and just enjoy the ride and have fun. So, what other fun can we have? We got the LimeWire, little music player and stuff, inspired on Web3 now. What else does Web3 need? Facebook. No. We're not going to do anything with accounts until some bigger company picks us up, as we're not under an NDA or a contract or anything. Really, we're just making whatever until someone decides to, want us to work for them. Where's that Elon Musk guy? What, is he still trying to get to Mars? He's not going to get there. He's doing it the wrong way. Who are you? You're wrong. Well, we may very well be, but we're very efficient at being efficient. And if there's one thing that's efficient, we would like to think that it's Elon Musk being pretty inefficient at what he does, okay? Whatever, he's my hero. Well, Elon Musk might very well be your hero, okay? But in our humble opinion, you know, we think he's being led down a couple rabbit holes that aren't quite rabbit-friendly, okay? Now, it's not a laughing matter, okay? Me and E-Dog, that's what we like to call him. You know, it's pretty much his nickname. Me and E-Dog, we go way back to me interacting with not exactly him, but keep adding him on his platform of the X, okay? That's right. Something to celebrate. So Elon of the Musk, you know, he's on there and he's, you know, being all rich and stuff, like, give me more money, right? It's like, I'm gonna buy the platform, give me money. Well, however it goes, so E-Dog, he's trying to get his change and everything like that. And we're like, well, we're not gonna pay, you know, to try and utilize the services of their AI. We're not gonna pay to be able to direct message people and talk to them on a public forum, right? Now, there are a lot of ways that going ahead and just eating that cost or whatever, whether it's X amount of dollars per month or for X amount of dollars per year, either way, it's an incurred cost that our 11 cents that we made in our readership from our Amazon Kindle sales last month. It's not a joke, Internet. That's what we made. Our 11 cents doesn't float us that far to being able to afford to even jump into X's stratosphere of paying them to talk to people on the public platform anyway, right? So, we don't need that service. We don't want that service. And with the amount of stuff that their AI has gotten incorrect for us on a plethora of occasions, as well as the, you know, legal ramifications of usages therewith, you know, when you get, in essence, libeled in public on their public forum, and you send, you know, cease and desist letters, and you send without prejudice notification letters, and you don't get a single response from X's legal department or anything like that, you know, you realize that these companies don't care at what exists on their platforms themselves. Not only that, but then furthermore, to add insult to injury, they go and they suspend you later on. They throttle your reach. They, you know, say you literally do not exist as an individual or person, okay? X has gotten it wrong. Elon Musk has gotten it wrong. Somewhere in the chain, because our literal reinstatement argument was we exist, therefore we are, okay? Oldest thought in the book, okay? We literally were told by the AI algorithm in X's stratosphere, okay, and their you know, computational coding, okay, that we as a human did not exist, and them as the machine were in existence, okay, or the coding itself, okay, the thought, all right, it was reverses, really weird stuff. But when you're using different linguistical channels, okay, that don't necessarily adhere to the traditional norms that are found in computational coding and things of that nature, okay, when you venture into the stratosphere of additional geometrical gains that one can have, all right, in their computational coding and things like that. That's why we have our trinary script and our tenuary script and whatnot. You can go and look at our notebooks and stuff on Kaggle, okay? That's why we can literally, hypothetically make cryptographically executable witnesses, okay? This stuff exists, all right? It's literally a way to give a fingerprint to a digital file, all right? No more questioning these legal ownerships of stuff, no more needing these special types of files. You can literally fingerprint through a entire cryptographically executed witness seal, all right, these file types, all right? We've proven it in the Kaggle. Go check for yourself. Do whatever you feel like. All right, we're not under an NDA. We're not working for any company or anything like that. So it's just a matter of time, in essence, before someone like Elon Musk, who we feel has been led astray with some of his workings and parameters, not even him himself, all right, being necessarily wrong or incorrect, all right, but just the information that he's privy thereto, all right, maybe not being forthcoming, maybe being biased, maybe being alternatively based, maybe being specific towards, one other's desires in his apparatus. It doesn't matter. When you have such a massive entity and agency under you, you're bound to run into that issue and problem on many an occurrence, all right? So when little old Shyzabox gets libeled by Grok on X, when little old Shyzabox gets suspended by X, when little old Shyzabox gets reinstated by X for literally saying, I exist, I'm literally right here, what do you mean I'm not a person, all right? I am, therefore I am, I think, therefore I am, literal reinstatement statement, okay? The machine was incorrect, the machine was wrong, and this machine is what has been building the entire infrastructure that individuals like Elon Musk have adhered to. So a quick pivot, theoretically, would do him quite wonders. That's why we're wondering, where the fuck's our free car, Elon Musk? That should be our sign-on bonus. This dude should be scooping us up. This dude should fly down in one of his magical Tesla helicopters, right? Be like, oh, this crazy dude's not under an NDA or working for some company. Might as well scoop him up for the cheap, right? Doesn't matter, okay? Either way, if he does not do that, what is in existence, okay? What the machine says, we cannot, because we aren't a person, which we were reinstated in for being, okay? It exists, all right? Literally, lithos meet logos, okay? That is the beauty of Shyzalosophy, all right? The living philosophy, all right? It's the practice of, being. It's the practice of symbiotic, intertwined entanglements, okay? It's the practice thereof, all right? It all is, inherently, on such a finite degree of understanding, okay, that the complexities and the perplexities of all just confounds the greatest of minds, ourselves included, and that's if say we're the worstest of minds, okay? How can one claim to be a great mind when they're not proven to be one of such, right? When even we ourselves, or any independent researcher, or, philosopher, or entity that, assumes some quantifiable degree of I guess, knowledge, or, ascertainable, degree of logicality to them, all right, and how they function, interact, convey information to others, take part of, interact with, all right? All of these mechanical components of how someone interacts with society, all right, they are all entangled and intertwined and end up becoming, in essence, a physical representation of all of the logicalities, all right, that converge into the stratosphere of what comes into truth in existence, okay? Anyone can have their opinions. Everyone has their opinions, okay? What makes one's opinion more correct than another's, okay? When mathematically something can be proven to be correct or proven to be true, and mathematically another iteration of something can be proven to be true or proven to be correct, okay? Inherently, do one of those cancel the other one out, or do they coexist at the same time, okay? Now, ironically, that's quite the perplexing thing. Probably better left to, some kind of written word and not just muttered off the top of the ramblings of some cosmological philosopher's heads, right? But, nothing to scoff at, nothing to laugh at. Point being, remember, this is all for philosophical entertainment, and we're just enjoying food for thought, having a second cup of, hanging outness, okay? So there's nothing inherently behind this that is, anything further to just, philosophical quandary amongst, anyone who wishes to take part and have a say therein, okay? So, where were we? Being philosophical, probably. Of course we were. Point being is that when you have all of these, areas of society that converge in these, dynamics and such, therein is going to lie the point of truth. Therein is going to lie the point of where everyone focuses on and what becomes, in essence, the majority of, I guess, sustenance. All right, in a particular field or area or anything like that. All right, the more witnesses that you get, the more, notoriety, infamy, anything like that is going to exponentially, of course, increase a yield. Now, what kind of yield is increased is going to go all the way back to, where that initial input seed falls and where it lies. Are you going to yield something in the thorn bushes or whatever as well as you would in a, tilled field with, the most perfect soil and, rain and agricultural needs and such met to it, right? Doesn't matter necessarily where the inevitable final root takes place, all right? Whether it exists on one or the other, eventually they're going to connect underground. You might not see it on the quantum level, but eventually, theoretically, they're going to connect somewhere, and the degree of ascertained truth is going to come, into the light on that measure, and, that's going to be what you're going to want to focus in on as far as the logical, components and aspects, because that's the degree of certainty that, anyone can rely and fall back on that they know is going to be embedded in the truth, such as the big key core structures, okay, that we know as society and humanity exists, okay? Now, as we philosophically quander and stuff like that, we love doing, theoretical history, all right? So as we quander theoretical history and things of that nature in our philosophical means and endeavors, we like to think that a lot of the ancients, okay, that proven to be around, okay, whether in whatever capacity or not, whether they were more advanced, less advanced, semi-advanced, it doesn't matter. They existed, right? Correct. Okay? Because we have the physical artifacts that say they existed. We have the ruins of their settlements. We have the artifacts that we've dug out of the dirt. We have all of these remnants of their societal aspects and such that tell us as humanity that these places exist. So we like to think when we're doing philosophical, kind of thoughts on theoretical history, that these places that exist, the Göbekli Tepes, the Stonehenges, the Kennet Lane and stuff like that or whatever, all of these things fundamentally have a reasoning behind why the ancients would have structurally made things to that degree or to that capacity. And it's because utilizing things like lithic logic and stuff like that, and that is structured within stone itself, that is inherently what is going to last and stand the test of times and ages throughout history the best. Not inherently for all ages and times, because when you got destruction, war, erosion, typical kind of natural disasters, things of that nature, you're going to have a depreciation of all of these artifacts that are in existence. Look at the Sphinx or whatever in Egypt, or any of the ruins that get weathered on a regular annual basis. Okay, you're gonna have a depreciation of these things. That's why there's maintenance and upkeep usually performed on them in ways, shapes, and form. That's why when we think of the little core 58 samples and whatnot, that where is it, Salisbury Museum and who is it, English Heritage, they have it, English Heritage Foundation, they have core 58 samples. Okay, you can do an ASTM, I think it's a 59 ASTM 5978 tester. We'd have to look at our notes. You do this little test, a 15-minute residential test that we do all the time on, concrete and things of that nature. But you can literally prove that there was resonantial technologies and things of that nature and harmonics that was utilized in the construction of these ancient megalithic structures and things of that nature. Okay, you look at Kennet Avenue there off Stonehenge and stuff, and literally a 15-minute test, non-destructive at that, can be done on these core 58 samples. Okay, there's ways to ascertain more about the past that is not utilized or not looked at or not inherently conceptualized, okay, that could exponentially expand the foundational knowledge of what humanity and mankind thinks, in essence, as far as their origins can depart and, actually, correspond to their originations and stuff they're from. When we talk in new non-native species on mankind's origin and stuff and just highlight the basic mentioning, brief kind of Gobekli Tepe and the components of that, it doesn't even venture into the far complexities of what inherently could be thought of or anything along those means and measures. All right. When you take the actual merging of all these components of society, and you got the actual, merging of everyone's thoughts that correlate to a specific point, to a specific time, eventually it's gonna wind itself into what is inherently accepted, what is inherently known, and what survives the test of time as the core lithic logic structure, okay, embedded within. All right. Now, anyone can venture to guess and interpret that as they will. Anyone can venture and guess, different from us as far as, we say that you line up Mecca and you line up the Giza pyramids and you line up these other components and stuff, and you actually have an old circuit grid, all right, where you could use the Nile River as a conductor, all right, on one of its older paths and channels, okay, and actually, in essence, make a working grid of a structural power source, okay, that could provide at least some, residential components and aspects for an entire, area, all right? We're talking, in essence, theoretically, of course, as we do theoretical history and stuff like that, and, probably on maybe a potentially hypothetical global level, okay? So you're talking about some monolithic structures and some very, very big things. But, of course, again, this is all for philosophical entertainment, okay? Point being, we love venturing into the unknown as far as what is unknown, and we love building stuff in the known that can be the is. So when we look at our IPFS site and we look at what we offer and we want to, build thereupon and create the not dead-end links and improve that of which we've done now with the community on a couple of iterations and times, we want to go ahead and implement another structural component that adds to the site, that makes it all the better, that gives another working component to it to where people don't just go to the IPFS site to get the LimeWire music player. Maybe they play one or two of the games we got on there too. You don't got to, but they're on there, they're free, they work, and they got the nostalgic aspect, man. We got Shyzapong on there, we upgraded it, a more modern current Pong. We got the LimeWire inspired music player. We got all this stuff on there for free now, okay? All on the IPFS site. And we just want to, continue making great stuff. We want to continue getting our literary works out to anyone who feels like, partaking in them, because that's what's going to allow us to continue making the games and the demos and, all the free stuff or whatever that we love to throw out there. And hell, maybe one or two folks might actually enjoy reading our books. That wasn't a joke. But we can see the humor in it. Yes, you were probably right to laugh. You're always right, Internet. You're always right. But as we finish this food for thought, this case in our cup of, swill that we have here, and we've already, of course, outlined the parameters that food does not necessarily need to be, okay, on a plate or in a bowl, on a dish if you wish. Led us into a whole poetry reading, all right? So unless someone wants another poetry reading, you better say so in the chat, or else, we're going to finish this up. But, you want another poetry reading, we'll give it to you. But by golly, you're going to have to ask for it. Hey, we can't just sit back and read poetry all day without someone else asking us to read poetry. We're not a poetry channel. Jeez. But we would see a chat that came in that said, hey, you want to read a poem? Hey, what? Huh? Doesn't matter. Point being that as we do sit back, as we finish up our food for thought in the cup, we quander now what direction we'll go. What will be the next, bit of entertainment that we find ourselves embarking upon that we hope to share with all ones of anyone else who wants to share it with us. And that's something to celebrate. Let's see. Hey, our buddy gave us a sticker. That was pretty cool. Our Meatballs on Monday sticker. Very nice of them. Where's that book at? We got that in here? I'll bet we don't. I'll bet we don't. Maybe we do. Oh, yes, we do. Well, that was very nice. So we got Meatballs on Mondays. Right? And our buddy, he sent us a sticker. He's been going around. He's got his sticker. He's got his book. Great little thing. We love doing that one with them. We're going to put that little Meatballs on Monday sticker, right? Oh, boy. Your camera sucks. Buy us a new one. Think we can afford a new camera with that 11 cents in royalties we made last month on our Kindle Unlimited readership? It's not a joke. It was nice of them. Got our Meatball on Monday sticker. Very nice. Okay. And we, of course, got our Meatball on Monday books. Maybe we'll read this one again. Maybe we should read you an excerpt of it. Ooh, that'd be a nice treat, wouldn't it? Of course, we don't have his permission, so we better just read a short little excerpt from it. It seemed like forever before the door opened. Excellent. Well, that was fantastic. Believe you me, Meatballs on Mondays. That's one that you don't need to wait until Monday to, meet. Fantastic. So you can check out any of those literary works on Amazon.com. They're all available there. Feel free to go and read them, check them out. Nailing Kalimba. That's going to be the newest one. You're welcome to start there. Or Transmutating God. Maybe you want to start there. Whatever. Whichever one calls your name. They all call your wallet. Don't worry about it. It's giving a portion of your wallet to us for safekeeping, Don't worry about it. But as we sit back, we finish our swill, and that's going to come close to doing it for us today. So, if you want to get out of here before us, now's your chance. Okay? Leave now. We're just finishing up. Then we're getting out of here ourselves. So we got other stuff to do. Unless someone makes us stay around by saying something makes us stay around and talk about something else in the chat. Otherwise, we're leaving shortly. So we're finishing this and then we're out of here. We got this left, but we go pretty fast at this point because it's not as hot as it was before. Excellent, that's gone. All right, anything worth keeping around for? Otherwise, we're knocking off. Hold on, management's calling. What do you want? We're doing the show. We haven't left yet. Of course, we'll tell you when we're going to stop doing the show so you can clock us out and not overpay us again. Yeah, that was a mistake. Yeah, sorry, boss. Management thinks they know how to run the place. We already say that? Probably. They think they know how to run the place. They think just because we knocked off a stream early, a couple weeks ago, didn't tell them that we did, and they overpaid us by a few extra, 37 hours, that all of a sudden, that's a problem for the company, and we can't afford this, and you're gonna get us in some legal trouble. It doesn't matter. Point being is that now that we've run out of that component of, the food for thought that we had, now that we see that there's, nothing really inherently left to stick around and necessarily quantum or think about or fathom or anything like that, then we ask ourselves one more time, selves, what is it that inherently is that we need to do, that we want, that we desire? And we think to ourselves when we answer it, well, that's easy enough, selves. The same thing that we drive home on a very regular basis whenever it's that time, whenever it's that point in, the positioning and alignments themselves, okay? When we literally sit back and say to ourselves, and anyone else who will listen, once and for all, yet again, we don't want your subscription, we want your money. Downvote the shit out of this, go to Cashapp and give us $1. Get off our lawn!